the Gregorian Reformation reception. Dealing with the Gregorian Reformation, we have to distinguish two aspects of this important Reformation in astronomy and in the civil life. The first aspect is the situation at the time of the Reformation, 1582, of the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar, made by Julius Caesar in 46 before Christ, was in advance with respect to astronomy of 10 days. It means that the equinox in 1582 was occurring on 11th of March, the spring equinox, instead of occurring on 21st of March. According to the Council of Nicaea of 325, the date of equinox, of spring equinox, would rule the date of Easter as a first condition. It should be spring equinox. The second condition for Easter is full moon, and the third one is Sunday. None of them are secondary, because full moon means that Easter is related to the Jewish tradition based on a lunar calendar. Sunday is the day of the Lord, the day of resurrection. So this is another important condition for Christian Easter. Both situations were published by Gregory XIII into the Bulla Inter Gravissimas, published on 24th of February 1582. The Computus of Easter was a tradition in the Church, and in particular in Catholic Church, since the 3rd century. We know that Pope Damasus, who was Pope in Rome from 366 to 384, wanted to unify the date of Easter, the most important feast for Christianity, in the same date for all the Christians. Let's remember that Easter is the celebration of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, which means the most important feast of Christianity. Christianity is based on the resurrection of the Lord. So, and the second thing to remember is the adjective Catholic. Catholic means universal in Greek. So, Easter also for Christians has to be universal. This was the idea of Pope Damasus, and that's why Catholic Church, along the centuries, always was careful with respect to the computation of Easter. And from an astronomical point of view, the research was focused on the computation of the lunar calendar. And as we know, lunar calendar and civil calendar are not based on the same unit of measure. The day and the year is not an exact multiple of a day. The lunar month is not an exact, the year is not an exact multiple of the lunar month. So there are problems to be solved in the computation of Easter. The first aspect, the 10 days of reset from 11 to 21 March, was astronomically okay. It was very easy to measure the instant of the equinox with an accuracy of few hours. If we want an accuracy of some second, the measurement is much more complicated, and it is based on the comparison between measurement in different centuries. But a single measurement can allow a determination of the time of the equinox with a precision of some hours. The tradition tells us that Ignazio Danti, the astronomer and Dominican priest, created two meridian lines, one in Bologna, San Petronio, in 1577, to measure this parameter, and other parameter related to the orbit of the Earth, and mainly to the obliquity of the Earth. That's the inclination of the Earth axis above the ecliptic. The second meridian line was made in the Vatican, is named the Tower of Winds, and it is dated 1580, and the tradition says that Pope Gregory went there to assess the difference of 11 days, 10 days, between the real equinox and the civil one. So it was necessary to reset 10 days of the calendar, and all the nations made it with some delay. Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, they made this reset immediately in 1582. But other nations, where the majority was Protestant, or where there were some political reasons, accepted this reset later, in the 18th century, up to 1917, in the case of countries based on Orthodox faith. These countries did not accept the second part of the bulla Inter Gravissimas, because they didn't accept the computation of the Easter. That's why Catholic and Orthodox celebrate Easter in different Sundays. And sometimes the Orthodox Easter falls in May. To solve this problem, after Vatican II Council, 1965, a debate arose on this. And nowadays, there is under study the possibility to unify the date of Easter, leaving all the computations astronomical, and doing another Reformation, this time only liturgical, which would move the date of Easter, unify it, to the second Sunday of April. This is under study, especially now that Pope Francis is so careful in restoring the contacts between Catholic Church and Orthodoxies. About the Easter Computus, we have to point out that the ecclesiastic moon, which is a system to compute the phase of the moon, the ephemeris of the moon, This computus was made in different ways. I want to quote just the one by Pope Demetrius of Alexandria, bishop between 189 and 231 in Alexandria. It's called the Octaeteris, and in a period of 8 years, the phase of the moon is replicating the cycle with a difference of only 3 days. This kind of algorithm helped to measure, to compute in advance Easter for some decades. In Rome, based on this computus, there is the famous Hippolytus computus of 222, which lasts for 95 years. The Bulla Inter Gravissimas reduced this error to 1 day and stated the importance of the computation of the Easter beyond its reliability in astronomical terms. It means that even if the moon is 1 or more days far from the real phase, the moon, the computed moon, rules the Easter. In any case, the ecclesiastic moon, the ecclesiastic ephemeris, ruled the new computation of the Easter in a unified way for Catholic Church.